G'day everyone, welcome back, Perkins Engineering YouTube channel. Now, our last episode I said our next episode, as in this one, was going to be an update on the restorations. I haven't quite got what I wanted done yet, so I'm going to save that episode for later. And in this episode we're going to check out the air jacks and how the air jacks work. I get a lot of questions about how air jacks work on a supercar. So I've got our 2003 car here. I've got a few props and things. I don't have a static air jack on me, so I'm going to do my best to explain the jack itself and then I'll show you in the car. But basically you need air that's regulated. Workshop air compressor generates maybe 100, 120 psi. It's not enough to lift these cars with the air jack. So we use a bottle of nitrogen. I mean, you could use a bottle of compressed air, or I've even used argon before when I ran out of nitrogen, but I've got a bowl of nitrogen stashed away over there. Runs up around 300 pound to get this particular car off the ground. Some of the newer air jacks don't need as much air pressure, but still workshop compressor won't quite get them off the deck. But what you do need is a thing called an air spike. And this is effectively a female air fitting. I'll bring it up a bit closer. Female air fitting that will plug into a male fitting on the car, and in the workshop spec we use a tap so that you can manually open and close when the air's going in. In race trim, what you'll see today is the air spikes don't have a tap on them. Plug in, car comes up, pull off, and the car will drop down. Whereas in a workshop, when you're trying to be a bit nicer on all the equipment, you can utilize the tap to influence the air and lift the car up at a slower pace and drop it down at a reduced pace. Another thing you'll notice is safety stands. This is a traditional Perkins Engineering safety stand. So an air jack is effectively very similar in design to a shock absorber. It's got an outer housing, then the air will push down a shaft, which has kind of got a bit of a piston type shape to the top of it, which helps seal the air. Pushes the shaft down into the ground, it's got a foot on it, then it lifts the car up, leaves a shaft exposed, and then you can pop the air jack stand in there, take the air out, and then the car is very safe. In modern day, Perkins Engineering actually didn't use these, but now we do. These are called K&A quick lift stands. So I'm going to show you how these work as well. And over time you may have seen blocks of wood. And you might ask, what's the block of wood for? Well, when you want the car to go higher and higher, you need to space it out off the ground at times. So Perkins Engineering would slide that under the air jack, then the air jack lands on top of his, lift the car up, put the stand on top of that block of wood. Then if you wanted to go higher, you could get a trolley jack under the diff and the cross member, lift it up and shove more wood under there and get the car higher and higher, especially for things like engines and gearbox changes at the racetrack. So that's what the block of wood's all about. But with the K&A stands, they utilize a quick lift system. So you basically jack the car up once, let the air out, slide this tab across, then it's got a new ground level, so it's already 3 or 4 inches high. Air jack then fits into the ground, into a new false ground I should say. This little tab lifts up again, and then our second stand, safety stand, sits on top, let the air out, then the car's already that high off the ground, so a lot easier than getting the trolley jack out and blocks of wood. So I'm going to run you through that whole process now, so let's get stuck right into it. Rightio, so this is the male fitting on the car, which swaps side to side depending on the racetrack. For example, at Bathurst, where the pits are on the infield and it's anti-clockwise direction, air spike and refueler would be on this side, which is refueling back there. And then when you go to Sandown, for example, we would usually put the spike on the other side. However, in recent times, they've allowed the spike to stay out on the fast lane, but traditionally you'll find the spike can swap from the driver's side to the passenger side. In the Gen 3 cars, we've noticed the spike's been moved up to the front of the car. So on this particular car, when you plug the spike in, it gets a nice positive click, and then that's ready to put the air in. Where does the air go? In to these lines. These has got a hard line, this particular car, and it goes to each corner of the car. So there'll be an air jack in each corner. So we'll start with the front corner. You can see that's the air jack right there. So it's got an air line coming in the top, squirts air down the top into the shaft, and the shaft will come into the ground and lifts the car up. I'll show you if I open the rear door. you'll see there's the rear air jack. So 4 air jacks in this particular car. All Perkins cars had 4 air jacks, but Paul Morris cars, for example, had 3. They mounted 1 in the middle at the back and 2 across the front. And I believe that's quite common with Porsche Carrera Cup cars. So what we'll do now is plug the airline in and show you how it lifts up. Okay, so we open the tap up and out comes the shaft, the air jack, lift the car up. That's what we call to the first stage, and then in with our trusty K&A stand, sometimes a bit finicky to get in, into position like so, and we'll run around and do the other corners of the car. Okay, all air jacks stands are now in place, so we've got to let the air out, and you'll notice when we do that, the air jack will slide back up. I'll just do that now. Okay, so the car is now at a workable height. Pick the camera up. You'll see wheels are off the ground, and this is sort of the pit stop height that you could work on it, but it's pretty hard to get under there and do any sort of real mechanical work. And then if we go around and slide those tabs across, and we'll run around and do that on all corners of the car. Slide those tabs across. Now that the tabs are slid across, we can open the air jack tap back up and lift it up to another height. And now we slide in the next stand. Okay, now we've disconnected the airline, we've dumped all the air out of the car, so the air jacks, it's all now safe to work under, all the safeties are in, that's up 2 stages, and it's a nice workable height. You could drop the gearbox out at that height, drop the diff center out, all those sorts of things. If you wanted to go higher, you could put the old trusty block of wood under there, or Perkins Engineering have actually fabricated aluminium stands for a lot of the current supercars teams, including Walkinshaw Andretti United and Blanchard Racing Team. So we would cap that in with aluminium sheet, but it's basically nice strong base. We put some nice little handles on there, and that you could use 2 or 3 of them and get the car even higher again. So that's how you jack them up. And in a racing pit stop, obviously they don't use any safety stands unless they're going to work under the car, and you'll see them dive in and put a single safety stand in there, similar to the Perkins Engineering design, which is right here. And that would just clip in over the shaft, and then the car sits on the safety, and then it stops it from potentially falling on a mechanic or something like that. So that's in the regulations. And to drop the car down, it's basically the same, and I'll show you that now. Put the air back in, pull those stages out, the first of the stand, then slide the tab across, and you lower the car. So we'll do that now. Over on the 1993 car, just wanted to show you that the air jack technology in that time hasn't really changed at all. So you'll see very, very much the same air jacks, a lot easier to access because there's less stuff in the car over the back corner, driver's side there, and in here. So yeah, the air jack technology hasn't changed a lot, except I've gone very racy on these cars and got the K&A stands, which they never used back in the day, but for the ease of getting them up and down, I decided to get them for our 93 and 94 cars. Well, that's it for this episode, showing you how those air jacks work. I advise, if you've got a touring car or something with air jacks, these K&A engineering air jack stands are brilliant. Made in Adelaide, great engineering business. If you provide them with your basic air jack dimensions, they'll be able to pump out a set of these in varying colours and whatnot. So yeah, if you need some quick lift stands, get onto K&A Engineering in Adelaide, Google them, they'll be sure to help you out. So they're a ripper. That's it for this episode. Thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate all the support, Facebook, YouTube, comments. We get to them all. We try and write back as many as possible. A lot of people bought hats and t-shirts and stuff off the back of our last episode. So once that stock gets right down, we'll be able to replenish with a bit of new gear, hopefully throughout the year. So thanks for the support. Remember to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Thanks for sharing the love, guys. Much appreciated. Cheers.